Good evening. My name is Felicia Salinas Moniz, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Sarah Doyle Center for Women and Gender, and I am delighted to introduce today our guest speaker, Consuelo Jimenez Underwood, at the culmination of her week-long artist in residency here at the Sarah Doyle Center and at Brown, where she installed her exhibition, Exposing Unseen Boundaries. In Exposing Unseen Boundaries, Consuelo weaves narratives of the U.S.-Mexico border and its effect on people, communities, and the natural environment. Her artwork transports viewers to the mystical threshold between the void and the mundane, exposing the unseen boundaries of the borderlands and the hope for a future filled with flowers and song. This exhibition includes the brown-violet borderline, one of a series of Underwood's Borderlines wall installations, which he has created at museums and cultural institutions across the country. Brown University students and local Rhode Island middle school students helped create some of the elements embedded in this piece. In Apocalyptic Rain Song, a new site-specific installation, the artist asks viewers to contribute a song of healing, which will be added to this piece throughout the year. She shares additional sculptural, print, and performance work that highlights her use of art to focus on and document the impact of borders and boundaries. Immediately following this talk and the Q&A, we'd like to invite the audience to the opening reception, so please walk with us as we, after the talk, and join us for delicious food and an experience of art. It has been a true pleasure to communicate with Consuelo over the 5 months of preparation for her visit. In my many conversations with her, she expressed so much excitement and joy about this visit and her desire to affect people. Over the course of her time at Brown, Consuelo worked alongside student artists to create her 2 site-specific wall installations. She met with girls from Sophia Academy who created some of the violets for the installation. She shared meals with students and was a guest of honor at La Galeria del Pueblo in Central Falls, home of Rhode Island Latino arts, where she also received additional violets created by Calcutt Middle School kids. And today she spoke with students in classes taught by Professor Evelyn Hudahart and Professor Monica Martinez. This project received tremendous support from in and around Brown, and I'd like to take time to thank the following centers, departments, and organizations who sponsored this project: the Institute for Transformative Practice, the Marshall Woods Lectureship Foundation of Fine Arts, the Center for Social Equity and Inclusion at Rhode Island School of Design, the American Studies Department, the Center for Latin American and Caribbean Studies, the Center for the Study of Race and Ethnicity in America, the Hispanic Studies Department, the John Nicholas Brown Center for Public Humanities and Cultural Heritage, the Latinx Heritage Series, Multimedia Labs, the Pembroke Center for Teaching and Research on Women, Rhode Island Latino Arts, the Undocumented First Generation and Low Income Students Center, and the Visual Art Department. It would seem that since retiring 10 years ago from teaching at San Jose State University, that Consuelo is busier than ever. Her work recently traveled from Lille, France, where it was part of the El Dorado Arts Festival. Her art will soon be featured in an exhibition at the National Museum of Art in Chicago, and she will be a keynote speaker at the Studio Art Quilt Association in Toronto. In 2020, Consuelo will have a retrospective of her work at the San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles, and an anthology edited by Dr. Anne-Marie Lemire and Dr. Laura Perez entitled Consuelo Jimenez Underwood, Art Weaving Vision will be published next year. Consuelo reminds us of the power of art to express what words alone cannot. She reminds us of our capacity as individuals to make change in the world. And as she mentioned in a recent article published by the National Resources Defense Council, she reminds us that, quote, all of us have this blessing. We all have our 80-year walk. All you can do is make it a little prettier, a little more powerful. And now, please join me in welcoming Consuelo Jimenez Underwood.
Here's to 70 years old. 7 decades. Oh, my pointer. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Gail. Thank you all for being here and hearing my my words, but more importantly, seeing my images. And this goes back 30 years, undergraduate, exploring painting and fiber art at San Diego State, where I learned how to shadow an egg and also how to weave. And you can see this is one of my last paintings and one of my first weavings. It's a 12 by 18 inch piece of plywood that I put some acrylics on and then nailed along the edges, and then I wove wire across it. And it's me in the burning, I call it burning fields of fire, and that's our family picking. I was a farm worker, was born in the fields, and at 9 I swore I would get out of the fields in 10 years. In a decade, swore I was not going to pick anymore. So that's why I live my life by decades. Every decade comes, and then I make a goal, and I achieve it. So here was me achieving the goal of, I'm not going to pick when I'm 20, and, excuse me, here is my way out. That yellow school bus that would pick me up on the fields at 7:30 in the morning, and it would drop me off at the fields at 2:30 in the afternoon. That's me in the Prune Field in Vacaville, California. There's my mom, and there's my dog, Useless, that I called him Useless. Why? She gives me this dog, and we don't even have food or a place to sleep, so I called him Useless. So I knew, though, that I had this power of this lady, and from my mom, I knew I had this spirit, Zapata. Here he is in his full glory. My mom loved this guy. I did too. And I even I honored him later on. But my mom loved that rebellious, si se puede mode. While my dad was coming from this tribe, the mystical Huichol. And the baddest Huichol was the one, the Huicholes would embroider their own clothes. The baddest guy was the one who embroidered his own stuff. So there I was with these two kinds of powers, I call them, to guide me. When I was in the 70s, I had my 2 children. I had left the fields. I married my husband. And everything in the house was embroidered. Everything. And the embroideries were images like this, where I would get an image from the old days and modernize it just a bit. This was one of my power. Everything, this was my Levi's as I went through grad school. This is the power of the sun behind me saying, go for it, Consuelo, you can do it. One of my first thoughts was, wow, I have to speak English and Spanish, but I know our languages. My language is not that. I investigated, and sure enough, in Berkeley in the late 1800s, some professor made a study and found that there were over 100 languages spoken in California, and that was right at the late 1800s. Who knows how many were spoken 200 years before? And here, one person I love in this country is Woody Guthrie. He said, I'm not a communist, I'm a communist. But the other thing he said was, I'm not an entertainer, I'm an educator. So I wanted to educate people about who I was and where I come from through my art. And this is one of the ways that I did it. As you can see, up there are the different family groups. And look at this one. This is from you guys over here in Providence. What the heck are they doing over here? I color-coded them. In California? And then these Yuto-Aztecan guys, they were from way down here. How did they get along? Well, the professor said they all knew 10 to 12 languages to get along with their neighbors. And I made this piece when California was radical and English only. One language only? Is civilization one only? This is what this piece is about. So I color-coded the language groups where they were, and each icon is a different language. And they belong to those up there. If you follow the color, wow. When I entered the undergraduate program at San Diego State back in the late 70s, it was this big battle between art and craft. This was not art. This is folk art. Yet Ansel Adams' photographs and Volkos's incredible ceramic pieces were art, but not this. Why? It's decorative. To me, it's magic. Look at this, 3 or 4 sticks, and look at that. How many of us can do that? How many of us can go out there and create beauty and look at her threads and look at what we're wearing now? We got civilized. So, empowered by those entities, Zapata and that young woman weaving and the Virgen de Guadalupe, and also Van Gogh. This is one of Van Gogh's earliest paintings. When he left his home, he went to go live with the weavers. Why? Because they were the poorest of the poor. And his early works were weavers. So in my studio, I asked for his power and the power of all the anonymous ladies throughout the world that made these incredible textiles, and they're anonymous. But Van Gogh wasn't. So those two, I said, oh, they can be in my studio. Whenever I'm stuck, I talk to them. The old ladies say, tell them, Consuelo, tell them with thread. And Van Gogh says, do it like this. So I did. These are one of 6 burial shrouds that I made that was collected by the Oakland Museum of Art. And there is Emiliano Zapata's burial shroud. My heroes. I had heroes that emulated what I wanted to be a little bit like. The one that affected me a lot, of course, was Zapata, like I told you. And I love the story of this guy, John Chapman. You know who he is, right? Johnny Appleseed from the East Coast, one of the first colonists to arrive in this country or born in this country. And what did he want to do? Grow apples. Period. Not make big haciendas, not big ranches. Just grow apples so everybody could eat apples. And I went, why didn't everybody think like that? It would have been so cool. This one, though, she's the one that started my 10-year decade plan. I was 9, I read her biography, and I went, dang, here I am picking tomatoes at 105 in Sacramento, and I'm crying. And this woman, 14, decides to lead an army to kick England out of France. Way back when women was nothing. And I was saying, shut up, Consuelo. You can do it too. I swear in 10 years I will pick no more forever. That's what she did for me. These are burial shrouds because my heroes all had these incredible deaths that weren't very fun, except maybe this guy. I'd like to believe this guy died of old age. The other heroes that I did were Dr. King, Woody Guthrie, and Cesar Chavez. I just wanted to show you how beautiful, beautiful. All my weaving is beautiful. It has to be, to honor those old ladies. There's text in there that says Chapman. There's hidden secrets. I think when he saw the forest, he saw this. He didn't just see green. He saw a lot of things. Joan of Arc, her 2 powers, the sword and the cross. She always wore white. No makeup, no nothing. She always just appeared in white. These are all life-size. Woven trapezoidal on the loom. This one was not woven trapezoidal. Oh, she was, but she was woven sideways. And then I just connected her at the top, and it became relief. Graduate school, San Jose. I left San Diego State, where I learned how to weave, like at Pembroke from Joan Austen. And at San Jose, they went, that's decorative. Where's the content? Where's the context? So at San Jose, I learned how to weave with bamboo sticks that I spray painted. I took apart the bamboo curtain and rewove it into this. This is like 7 feet by. I learned how to weave with barbed wire. This is also 7 feet by 5 feet. And you can see what a struggle it was to get that barbed wire across the loom. And you see what I figured out. See how straight that is? And then it was so easy. Psst. And you know how I did it? I opened up the shed. I put in a tube. I put the barbed wire in the tube, pulled out the tube, and the barbed wire was in place. Soups! Anyway, I did that so I could tell people I know how to weave fine silk, I know how to weave barbed wire, depending on content or context. It was so good that before I graduated, they took me in the office and said, hey, you want the full-time tenure track? And I went, sure. What's tenure track? You have to be famous. Oh, man, you took the fun out of it. In 10 years, I'll do it. So I did. 10 years, I got it. I did this along the way when I was doing academia, art, and familia. And this is now at the Smithsonian. And this is what I call the Virgen de los Caminos. My granddaughter was born. I didn't like flowers. I thought they were too beautiful for this world. But they named her Xochilrina, which means flower song. After that, oh my God, I love flowers. So as I traveled across the state doing lectures or whatever you do as an academic, I would take this in the airplane. And I embroidered and embroidered and I embroidered. And it was supposed to be for her. But at the very end, I went, you know what, Mama, it's going to be for that little girl right there. Right there. The Virgen, why is she dead? It's for the dead kids that crossed that border and didn't make it. And you can see it's beautiful, it's horrific, and there's the caution sign as the quilting pattern. Well, why didn't you make it so you could see it? Because they're ghosts. You don't see ghosts. But isn't it beautiful? And that's, I tell students, that's the struggle in this 80-year walk. How do you balance beauty and horrificness at the same time? California came up with this sign. I go to Texas. Wow, you guys have that sign over there, don't you? Yeah, we do. In fact, they want to take this way of thinking all through the world. This is like a, 30-foot wall? I don't even know. I stand up to like right here. This borderline business is going to overtake us. It's going to overtake the world. Everybody's going to hate their neighbor. Everybody's not going to want their neighbor to come into their country. They're even going to take it to the moon. This is a drawing of the other side of the moon with my borderline. And I did do a little weaving that's traveling around somewhere. But I start with images, and then I start drawing on them, the borderline. Isn't that a beautiful look? This borderline, of course, all these guys, they come from Mexico and they go to Canada. But they're not documented. But you'll see their footprints in my wall. All these guys are in danger. They can't cross that barrier. Even these guys. Can you believe that? They have to be documented to cross. Cross what? That. This is San Diego and Tijuana. And I went, oh my God, that looks like a razor blade cut right into the Mother Earth, into the Mother Ocean. Oh my gosh, this is horrific. We had to smuggle my dad across that. He wasn't documented until I was 10. It was very traumatic, and I kept saying, when I grow up, I'm going to do something about this. So my work has always been, I didn't know how, but I started to figure out, how do you talk about this with art, without saying Viva Mexico and it's bad, you know. How do you talk about this? Oh, I know. Let's have fun with this, because they call this the Tortilla Wall in its origins. They started building it when Germany lost its wall between East Germany and West Germany. That same year, when we're celebrating that, that's when this started. So I made a giant tortilla made of corn dyed husk and took it to the border, and somebody was playing on the piano, Chopin or whatever that guy's name was. I said, what is that music? Well, that's Chopin or some kind of pianist famous, and they were doing it live. Meanwhile, on this side of the border, kind of like over here, were 3 SUVs from ICE going, stay away from the wall, get away from the wall. But I knew my rights as a citizen, that we have the right to go all the way to the border. We're U.S. citizens, come on. Meanwhile, on this side were 3 Minutemen with rifles right on the wall, and they weren't telling them to get away from the wall. Just us students that were making some performance activism at the border. Mine was, I'm going to make a giant tortilla, and I'm going to take it to the Mother Ocean, and I'm going to see where the heck does the Mother Ocean want us to live, on this side or that side. So we're being dogged by the SUV. There's this gentleman here asking for a job and telling me he's a really good worker, and I'm dragging this tortilla, trying to make it, okay, you're going to be photographed tortilla, you got to go flat. It didn't want to go flat. But with a little help from your friends, si se puede. There she goes. And I'm like, okay, where is it going to go? North or south or what? You got to go to the show and find out. But this is me. This is not me, but it feels like it's me. It's my studio in the kitchen table in Guadalajara, and I'm sewing not just that one tortilla, but 6 of them, because I needed it for an exhibition at MACBA. And you can see that not only did I make the tortillas, I also made a giant basket, and I embroidered the tortilla cloth. Fearless! I even made 2 molcajetes, ghost molcajetes, 3 chiles of barbed wire. Have fun, Consuelo, lighten up. It's wonderful to be alive, even if it's a border. I was running as a professor, and when I learned how to weave, I always said, I want to weave a rebozo, I want to weave a rebozo. But because I was hired right off the bat, I never did. So I figured, I'm never going to weave a rebozo teaching. Oh, I know, I'll make the rebozos in one summer. And what I did is I made a bunch of little squares that I silk screened, and I safety pinned them together. It was backed by this silk, and everything was hooked by safety pins, and even the fringe. But eventually I did retire, and I wove the rebozos for my mundane mother, the Virgen de Guadalupe, the Earth Mother, the moon, and the waters. Aren't they beautiful? I just love this stuff. I love weaving this. But because of the horrificness of the situation of our days, I have to go do borderlines. Otherwise, I'd just be weaving stuff to honor these elements. Like I just realized yesterday or today that I haven't done one for the wind. What's that going to look like? This is a close-up of the Virgen de Guadalupe that I wove with gold that I got from Japan, and it's in the Fuller Museum for April 5th of next year. And they even used it in their flyer. I'm so happy. It's a close-up of it. I'm also into flags. I was always angry. Why didn't Spain and England keep their fight across the ocean? Why did they have to come to our continent? So I got a Mexican flag, and for like 2 or 3 years, I zigzagged. Red, red. You see the flag down here? Blue. It's like, what, 48 by 7 feet? Isn't that gorgeous? It's a Mexican flag that I bought some for Viva Mexico, Cinco de Mayo kind of thing, but I just went with the sewing machine, with red, with blue, with green, and of course, you gotta have that infamous barbed wire frontera, and I call this piece One Nation Underground. And it was the most fun was embroidering. Was embroidering the eagle in here. This is a small one. I got a smaller flag. I wanted to do something for Guadalupe, which you don't know who she is. Look her up. But she's the Mother Earth goddess from, I would say, during the Toltec times. Maybe she got born. I don't know. But again, I got the Mexican flag and I sewed back and forth the red and the white stripes, and then I embroidered the eagle. But more importantly, if you don't know Guadalupe, she's got a skirt of snakes. Now that's an Earth Mother. And I'm going, dang, what does she look like when she rock and rolls? These snakes, I mean, awesome, right? And then for me personally, so those are the serpents right here. She's got horrific feet, like claws, just like mine. I'm like, it's pretty cool. But aren't they beautiful? Fun with Consuelo. So here it is. This is the piece that went to France, and it got really a lot of attention over there. And it's now at the Mexican Museum in the show that I guess opens next week or 2 weeks from now. I don't know. But this piece is fairly huge as well. I wove 3 panels and I safety pinned them together. And the most coolest part for me is underneath, under the fringe, are the true weavers. I always tell, I'm a master weaver, but I weave probably like an 8-year-old Peruvian. I know who the masters were. It wasn't me. Whenever you see this kind of cloth, oh my God, that's weaving. This is having fun. Anything red in my studio, anything green in my studio, and here's Black Elk's sacred hoop. This is what I call home of the brave. Because Black Elk had this vision of all the nations coming together as one. And here's the borderline one more time, cutting across the canvas. So I decided, okay, they gave me this huge wall. I was born in the year of the bull, Chinese calendar, and I'm a Taurus, and I had no clue until I photographed, or they photographed it and I saw this image. That's the bull. But really, I thought it was just land. It turned out to be the bull, and that's kind of cool. Here's the ear, there's the head, but really this is California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And these this is my first borderline. This is like my 13th, the one I did here at Brown. They're all different, they're all the same. This one, I called them the undocumented border flowers because the California poppy, the bluebonnet, the saguaro, the yucca, they all grow on both sides of the border. And they can't go back and forth anymore because they're not documented. And this is the first time I made power wands. Pretty fun, pretty cool, but really horrific. This is a sketch for the one I did in Reno, and there's the Black Mountain, and there's the sage, which is the state flower of Nevada. In this sketch, I put this on the wall, but I also put the borderline. Unfortunately, I didn't keep that sketch. I don't know what happened to it with the borderline, but this was a preliminary sketch of what I wanted to do. This is the sketch for the one I did at George Washington University. It was a wall like 24 by 27 feet. and I asked for the powers. And this one I asked the power of the mountain to help me. This one I asked the power of the American beauty rose, which is the flower of Washington, D.C. And I asked for the powers of the sturgeon, who would swim undocumented back in the day all the way up to New Zealand, to Greenland, all the way down to Florida. And these guys were like 20 feet. I mean, the length of this. And the last one they saw, and they've been around since the dinosaurs, and the last one they saw was in the early 70s. So, and then down here, down here, I put the names of the different tribes that lived in this area. Isn't that neat? It was so beautiful. And then this, of course, is the boundary of the Washington, D.C. Center. It's sacred in there. No crime, no nothing. You walk clean in those streets. We're talking about downtown D.C. where the president and all the cronies live. I even asked the powers of the freeway from L.A. Those are the freeways. If you live in L.A., I got this at one of the universities in Los Angeles, asked me to do a borderline. So this is the one that came out of Los Angeles. And do you see how they're all the same and they're all different? So if you're on Los Angelinos, you better know your freeways, man. Those are the main freeways. But I lived in LA during the 70s. It was fun. It was fun. The kids were small. It was just, anyway. So this was the one for Los Angeles. And then Crafted America, this little center in Los Angeles, like maybe, was it like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, asked me to do one. And then they said, can you involve the kids? And I went, oh my God, yes. And that's when I started involving the community. So these are the kids that made the power wands, and they're coming to see the gallery and deliver their power wands. And guess what? They came in a bus. Their first time in a gallery. These kids had a school that it looked like a bombed out shelter after the apocalypse, with cyclone fencing with wire on top to keep out the bad guys. It looked like a prison. But I brought that, I told them I needed help. I needed their power. They went for it. They came. And at first, they were like, yeah. And there's the teacher. And there's the scared curator. And look at these kids. And this kid, any questions for Consuelo? This kid said, because they had seen my video about me and the honey, and we were together since I was 14 or 15. And he says, so, Consuelo, where's your husband? Where is Marcos now? He's waiting for me at the hotel room. So, it's really hard being an artist. It's really hard work, okay? It's horrifically hard, okay? I just want to warn you that. Question and answer. Now we got them talking. There's 3 hands up. The radio stations came, everybody came, and now we got them activated. In the end, whoa! I think it was this guy who's going to be a mathematician. I think one of these was going to be a dancer, a writer. This is now what they're telling us now at this place. I went, this is magic. Of course, you ask people my age if they liked it, they go, well, I don't know. But everybody younger than us, anybody under 50 would like, whoa, this is cool. And I'm like, really? Okay, let's go. I'm going to retire soon. These kids are going to take it on. Look at their faces. It's changed. Just because they got involved with art and they got their art on a wall with a museum, it changes them forever. I mean, how can I retire? So I figured the next 10 years I'm going to keep doing this if I keep getting gigs. And I'll still weave all my rebosas that I want for the wind, stars. I haven't done one for the stars. Now and then I went, okay, the drought. Remember the drought? California? This is the drought. This used to be overflowing, water coming down. Look at how dry it was. I was scared, and I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Well, I knew that we have power. And I knew that in the old days, they would say that the water was represented by serpents. So I'm going to do, I know what I'll do, is I'll weave a portrait of the mother serpent rain. So brought out my loom, I put that serpentine kind of grid, painted it on. Is that too cool, or is that too cool, or is that too cool? Now can you give us rain? Look at the face. I went for, and that was so cool because I go from pattern weaving into tapestry, which I love. Is that too beautiful? So for me, this is the rain serpent. This is the cloud, and these are the rain. It started to rain. My God, I'm going to do, this is her portrait. Now I'm going to show people what's it like to be inside this rain. So I call this one Inside the Rain. So here's the land here, and then here's the fringe, because it's a Rebozo format, and then here's the rain. And up there is the eyes and the nose and the 3 teeth with unwoven wire warp. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going, come on. So guess what happened? Oroville, the dam broke. There was so much rain. It wasn't just me. I think a lot of artists were doing this. A lot of shamans, a lot of people were praying for rain. We just came together and it happened. Now we have a lot of rain. So much rain that it broke the dam. Oh, please. Okay, and I was already almost getting to this part. I said, let me just finish, please, because I want to finish this. And you can see a close-up of the eyes that I left unwoven, the nose, and there's 4 fangs there. These women are powerful, okay? They're not just smileys. And you can see the weave structure. Loose, tapestry, and I learned this all, I'm ripping off the Peruvians. They were masters at this. So I'm also concerned with food. This is my American dress, Chile. I love Chile. So I made a dress for the Chile power. And of course I have to grid it, and I was running in the school, but I did it. And this is like 40 by, 50? But at the top, the coolest thing is red velvet. It's my homage to the Chile. And look at what I have in the top, all this. Wrapped barbed wire with gold. Nestled, so if you want to go like this, ouch! Right? This one is, this is a new piece, because now that I've retired, I can do weaving and installation and my sewing, quilting, embroidery. So this is a big piece too, like 45, 48 by 60. And I call this the apocalyptic nopal. So there's the cactus leaf right here. And I wanted to combine my sewing, embroidery, and my weaving. There's a barbed wire. Look at that. All the color. The original color of the fabric is this. Everything else is stitched on layers. And there's little pieces of barbed wire. This is woven. Isn't that cool? I tell people, well, maybe at 79, if I can't thread the loom or hold the needle, I'll paint. What am I going to paint? I could paint this. This could be real cool to paint. 5x7 canvas? Ooh! But not now, I got to weave. I'm the only one weaving this stuff. So I can't paint. I would like to, but I have to wait till I retire. So maybe at 79, 80, maybe 80, I'll do it. So that was the nopal, which I love cactus, by the way. I love to eat it. It's really good for you. But I also made a weaving for, and these are at Chicago right now. These just came off the loom. I made a weaving for the corn, for the zucchini, and the green bean, which we call the 3 sisters. With those three, you don't need protein. Everything you need as a diet is right there in these three foods that come from America. And I love this fragile connection. And you see that the material is corn that I cut in strips. And this is plastic with some barbed wire woven in. Leather barbed wire. And I really love the fringe. Check that fringe. Safety pins with a bead. Yeah, so, geez, and it's not me, okay? It's these powers. Remember the anonymous women and Van Gogh? They're the ones telling me what to do. I'm just a conduit. Aren't they beautiful? So anyway, our claim to fame, we get chaos. This looks like my living room floor, but it's really the table there at Rhode. And from chaos, we create this. This is part of the borderline that we just constructed at the Sarah Doyle. And this is the apocalyptic rain that I also did at Doyle. From chaos, we create chaos again, but this time with beauty and purpose. What the heck? Look at these workers. Yes! Look at the paw prints. They only go there. They're not documented. Look at the paw prints. They only go there. This is what I call a blessing to all of you. And this is what I call the apocalyptic rain. And there's Sarah Doyle right there. And there's Benevolent Street right there. And I'm asking you folks to go visit that. And when you visit that, and look at the ground. So imagine the apocalypse came. And we survived it. Not everyone's going to survive. You know that. You've seen enough apocalyptic movies, right? Only those that are strong survive. But we did. Not only did we survive it, the earth survived it because it's raining. These are barbed wires that apocalyptic rain. Imagine we survived and it rains. What a blessing. The heavens are still working. And so I'm asking you, if that were to happen, what song would you hear in your heart? What would you hear as a song? And I'm asking you to record it on your little iPhone and give it to us. Felicia, you can, when you go to the installation, you'll hear what I'm talking about. So we're collecting all these songs from all you folk, putting them all together as one song. And together it sounds like rain. When I finish, this is a prototype for an apocalyptic rain that I'm going to make at San Jose Quilt Museum next year. Only that wall is going to be like 14 high, 20 feet across. And I'm going to say, these are the voices from the East Coast. Can you guys give me voices from the West Coast? And if you punch here, you can hear them both together. What am I doing now? Well, this is a place that I'm going to have the, what do you call it, my retrospective. This is where I'm going to make the giant apocalyptic rain, and this is downtown San Jose. Up here, I think I want to make a mural. Because they said I could do anything I want, just they dream it up, they'll come up with a budget, they'll come up with volunteers. Really? Wow, okay, let's play. So my joke is, I want to do this. You know, and outline some of this with nails, and then wrap some black, purple nails there. Outline this one with yellow wire, and over here a little bit of pink wire with nails. You know what I mean? But my brain says, no, you're going to make it like that. I won't know till I'm there what's going to happen. Till I'm there at the moment. But I know this one and that one are going to come together. What are they going to look like? I don't know. It'll look cool. It'll bring honor to the flowers, and it might even look the barbed wire beautiful.
So we're going to take just a couple of questions because we really would like the audience to join us at the opening of the exhibition. So if you have questions, if you could please come to the microphone and you can ask a question to Consuelo.
Come on, come on. I'm only here for 10 or 20 more years. And remember, out of the 10 years, you have to sleep 3 of them. So that really means you only have 7 years. And in what? You guys are in your 20s? 5 more years? You're older than me. Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to sleep for 4 years of that? 15 years of sleep. So what are you going to do when you're awake? Have fun? If it's serious and meaningful, go for it. But if it's just fun for fun, next. Get out of my way. Me no sabe. I don't know you. I got things to do. I'd rather be weaving my dumb shawls for my kids. But somebody has to say this stuff. Since we don't care about the people, do we care about the animals and the plants that are undocumented? And if they continue with their plan, it'll be a Sahara Desert by the time your great-grandkids are around. What a cool gift we're giving them. A Sahara Desert, right cutting across the continent. But questions, I can talk on forever. Okay, so here we are. Emily Dickinson lives. There's a reason I'm a very reclusive person. I think Christine and maybe 2 other people besides the family see me when I'm in San Jose. Because I have things to do. Every morning, either the wrapping, the weaving, or the stitching go, me, Consuelo, play with me first today. And I don't have time to talk to anybody. The only time I talk is when I come out here to do you folks and the borderline. So take advantage. This is it. I'm going to go away in 10 years. I'm going to paint. Exactly.
Hi. First of all, wonderful work and very powerful and beautiful. I would like to hear more about your process. I don't even know if this is on.
I can hear you clearly.
I don't know others, but okay. So I'd like to hear more about your process in terms of, you talked about how you let the power speak to you.
Yes.
And it comes to you.
Yeah.
I would like to hear a little bit more about how that translates into what comes out in the artwork.
The first thing rule is it has to have, in the form, in the material world, it's got to be thread, textile oriented, or I'm not interested. It's either got to be sewn, embroidered, paint, what do you call it? If it's painted, it's surface design kind of approach. And that's the first one. The second one I think you want to know is, how do I select my projects? That's the easiest one. I think all ideas are sacred. And if you get an idea and you don't do it, it's like snubbing them. So I feel bad. So I don't want to know ideas. I turn the faucet off. It's been off for brown for 5 months. But now, it's time to say goodbye. I'm going to turn the faucet on. That's why I'm wondering, what's it going to be? Wind? Whatever. Ideas are there's so many SOSs out there in the universe. And us as artists, we're not here to represent reality anymore, like in the good old days. How good can you make a beautiful flower in this canvas so people... No, no, no. Our job now is to make new ways for people to understand this new world. So we have to come up with new ways to make art, to make images and marks that will help the person understand this new reality we have. And it isn't really new. I've read the Hammurabi writings, the guy over there from Babylonian. he was writing about the same stuff that's going on now. Students don't listen to their teachers. Politicians are corrupt. It's the end of the world for him. So, how do I do it? I turn it on real slowly because I don't want to disc anybody. And once I get the idea, I got to go with it. So once I get the idea, okay, what are we going to do here? What do I want to say with it? With the wind, the most beautiful part of the wind is when I was picking in the hot fields, the breeze would come and it would soothe me. So now the process for me is, how do I get that soothe in that rebozo form? And then I go into the, let's talk, old ladies. Let's talk Van Gogh. Let's talk thread. Because as a kid, I was very ostracized and I stuttered and I wouldn't talk to anybody. Because they didn't want to talk to me. I was a prune picker and I'd go to school in prune picking clothes. Who would want to talk to me? So I learned, me and myself and I, we had a great time. And the wind, and the moon, and the stars, and the earth. It was great. Because I was empowered, because everybody else were not even close to that. So, how do I do that? I try with honoring, making sure all those powers are good with the idea, and we're good to go. And once it's go, I don't even look. I just sit down and tell the students, yeah, it's going to be like that, and then they do it. But in my loom, one thread at a time. Si se puede. And I hear the old ladies tell them, Consuelo, weave that warp, weave that weft. And that's how the process goes. And I can hardly wait to finish it, to see what it looks like. And somebody asks me, what's your favorite piece? The one I'm working on. Because the next one is always going to be better. Right? Otherwise, why would I want to do something that isn't better? I don't have time. I've only got 80 years. And then I have to paint. Another question. Pretty awesome, huh? It's great to be alive. It's great to be here. I love that you guys are here. I'm hoping one of you get affected and do something more because I'm getting tired. Consuelo's getting older. And I know what's on the other shore, and it's going to be fun. And Steve Jobs' last words, his words were, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. And I know exactly what he's talking about. So, but this is wonderful too. Once you see the work over there, you'll see how wow it is here in this world. And how horrible it is in this world. And your job in the next 60 years is to walk in between those two worlds and merge them together for the young ones that follow. Is that it?